Hi, besties. Welcome to the podcast where we're all friends because we love all things Bravo, pop culture, and can't stop talking
Having
about
so
it.
much fun.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Bravo should be fun.
I'm Caitlin Marshall, your host here at Besties by Bravo. Allegedly allegations, where we're in a safe space to gossip, share our thoughts, and opinions.
That girl's a liar. That girl's a liar.
About the Bravo celebrities, shows, and celebs we love, hate, and
that's when
love
Chef
to
goes,
hate.
Oh, suddenly now you're so religious?
So be cool. Don't be all uncool.
He went on a podcast claiming he had a threesome with two women from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Immediately, I was like, I wonder if it's Brandi and Carlton.
Because sometimes things may get a little, well, ridiculous.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. There's a spider that is coming down. Hold on. Ah! Oh my God!
It's like the Blair Witch Project or something. All you can hear in the background is, oh my God, has anybody seen my ring?
Oh my God.
I don't want to ruin the party or anything.
Have you seen my ring? Oh my God, can you look on the floor for my ring? God, someone's gonna kill me.
Don't mess with me because I will come.
What? Oh.
Feel free to leave that in for whatever entertainment purposes.
I'm so glad you're here to enjoy the fun. So, thank you for joining me on Besties by Bravo. Hi, besties. Thank you for joining me today. It is a solo episode. You have me all to yourself. Aren't you so thrilled? Excuse me. Well, it's been an interesting week for Bravo. And if you don't follow me on TikTok, I'm going to give you some of the rundown on what's been going on. And there's been quite a bit. Obviously, let me start with the heaviest because, Brandi Glanville. Brandi Glanville. Girl. Okay. So she sent, from what I understand, she didn't actually sue. She sent a letter to NBC Universal regarding an alleged incident between herself and Andy Cohen. Now, this is something I want to put the disclaimer up right now. We are absolutely proponents of victims of any type of sexual harassment all the time. We are on their side. This is a little suspect considering the actual suit that's going on with Caroline Manzo against Bravo, NBC Universal, and the production company that did what would have been Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 4. If it ever gets released, it will be Season 5. But it is a suit over what Brandi did to Caroline while she was allegedly inebriated. So Brandi's whole thing is that she feels her entire livelihood has been lost due to this not releasing of the footage and not being able to see what she did. I fear for her that it would not do her any favors to have the footage released. So let's start there. Let's go to, that was number one. Let's go to number two. Number two is, at the end of the day, honey, even if you are encouraged to consume alcohol, you're an adult. And you have to know your own limits. Yes, there are certain aspects of these shows where being intoxicated is something that we watch and it's part of that entertainment. I'm not trying to dismiss that fact. However, when we talk about this, we have to consider, again, you are an adult, you make your own decisions. Now, we're setting that aside. What I'm going to go on to is Brandi says in this letter from her attorneys that Andy had called her while he was her boss last year. They did a FaceTime. And he said that he wanted to hook up with another Bravo leb while thinking of Brandi. Okay. 99.9% of situations, we'd be like, whoa. Okay, bad. This is that 0.01%. I'm not a math person. Don't come at me for the numbers there. That being said, this is a very small percentage that will have to give us a little pause because Brandy has very much presented herself as someone who doesn't mind a dirty joke, who really plays with that. Andy is also that type of person that he will joke in that way. And I have a feeling that while it's inappropriate, honey, she ain't the only one. That's the rapport. I mean, whether it is right or wrong, that has been set as a precedent even to the fans. So again, this joke was not made in good taste. We'll say that. And Andy put out an apology on X. I can't stand calling it X. It looks like the Uber freaking app every time. Can you imagine like sitting there? You yourself are intoxicated at the bar and you're just trying to get the hell home safely, responsibly, and you hit X and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't my Uber driver. Why are people talking about this and that? Anywho, so Andy puts out this apology saying, this joke I made, it was clearly in jest. The statement was, I thought Brandy was in on the joke. And he says that because Brandy also alleged that Andy was allegedly, how many times do I have to say that word anymore? Inebriated during this FaceTime call. Well, Andy says that Kate Chastain was with him, which adds to the fact that, well, one, Andy has made it very clear he is not interested romantically in women. I don't think we have a question on that. And two, Kate Chastain, she is hysterical. Number one, I mean, how many numbers am I going to list off? I'm like unhinged at this moment when it comes to math and numbers. Excuse me. But I Kate has such a like raw sense of humor. I don't even know if that's an actual descriptor people usually use, but to me, it's the best descriptor of her sense of humor because, especially, I'm not a below deck person. I'm so sorry. This is not a dig at them. But let me also say that Kate on Traders, she is just so hysterical. That being said, Andy, apologized, all of that. Then yesterday it comes out that Brandy is upset that Andy apologized to his fans specifically and not to her. And she believes that he owes her the apology because also her attorneys want to see Andy fired from Bravo. Now, I've tried to be kind of quiet on the whole thing because I didn't want to get it wrong, if I'm honest. And especially when it comes to Andy Cohen, he's the figurehead of Bravo. So it was a tough position as a Bravo content creator, but I'm not just a Bravo content creator. I talk about Love is Blind. I'm branching out. Okay. I have more interests than just Housewives, but right now we're talking about Bravo. So with all of that, I decided to look up who Brandy's attorneys were. I'm just like, what is going on? Well, the Brandy's attorneys are Brian Friedman and Mark Garagos. If those names sound familiar, that's because those are the two attorneys that Bethany Frankel enlisted to help her begin the reality reckoning. I'm telling you, it's a little fishy. As in lobsters and crabs, like Bethany's buttery ass fingerprints all over it, huh? Isn't that interesting? It doesn't tell us anything one way or the other. And I'm not saying that it was okay to joke with an employee or a coworker in that way. I'm not. What I am saying is that it is interesting, ain't it? Ain't it? Uh-huh. Speaking of interesting, those of you watching on YouTube, I have a presentation. I sure do. There was a lot of talks around the Bravoverse about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Now, that finale, I didn't feel that they needed to, quote unquote, pick cameras back up for that. I wasn't overly, you know. That being said, there was a portion of it that made me feel and I think a lot of people feel a bit icky when we're watching Mauricio and Kyle sit down their girls, as in their daughters, and tell them about have the conversation, because obviously they already knew. The article came out from People Magazine while they were in Aspen. And that being said, seeing Portia, their youngest, really break down, that broke my heart into about 100 million pieces. And it felt wrong watching it. I think this is where we need to have that conversation about what it means for the fandom to say, you signed up to show us your life, show us your life. I don't feel that the Bravo fandom is like, we demand you show us your kids in this way. Your kids didn't specifically, especially your minor children, they didn't sign on to this. You did. So at the end of the day, I don't think Portia should have been present for the on camera conversation. Clearly, Mauricio and Kyle could have had this conversation with all of them together off camera. And they could have had the older girls there for this conversation because they have a better autonomy of their own choice in the matter, So it was really hard to watch. And there was that moment where Kyle in confessionals breaking down after the producer is asking her, so what exactly was it? And we know it was a culmination of things. We've heard that a few times now that led to the demise of their marriage. And Kyle said specifically, there wasn't something that happened that caused me to lose my trust. And obviously, that's with Mauricio. We've heard the rumors for years about outside romantic dalliances with Mauricio. Okay, we're not even going to go into it. What I do, and plus, if you want to, I did a podcast last year when this news broke. You can see my whole breakdown of everything I could possibly find on the internets, from the gossip rag days all the way through Reddit to up until that point. If you really are interested, it's on for I think it's easier to find on YouTube, I would say, under Real Housewives of Beverly Hills playlist. That being said, as well, there was a blind from Deuxmoi that seemed to spark a lot of interest. And I'm going to show that to you right here. And if you're on YouTube, and I'm going to read it. And this is on, again, Deuxmoi. A lot of people like to stay anonymous when they send stuff in. This says it's official. And the email to stay anonymous is cougarmeetscountry@deux.com. Subject is loved up. The message: this country music singer is set to premiere their relationship in a very public way. The loved up pair shot a highly coveted magazine cover, which will drop shortly and be a shock to many. This was posted on February 22nd to Deuxmoi's Instagram account. Y'all know I love me some Deux. I can't help it. I just do. She's our modern day gossip girl. A lot of people are like, oh my God, it's Morgan and Kyle. Because, well, it kind of works. Could it be 500 million other people? 1,000%. But let's go ahead and play the game that it is them. My first thought is, okay, the timelines of this are quite interesting with this 3-part reunion coming up, because soon, 3 weeks is soon. I would think we're playing the game that this is what it is. 3 weeks would be soon for them to shoot this cover or release this cover if it were Kyle and Morgan. On top of that, my next thought is, I wonder what highly coveted magazine would be doing this. Because at first I thought, I would be surprised if it were People Magazine, considering they are the ones who broke the Kyle and Mauricio separation. And then Kyle and Mauricio put out their statement saying, well, we're not getting divorced. This isn't true, what have you. Now, in the finale, let's add that Rob, Crystal's husband, he did say, for conjecture, that it was Morgan who leaked this. Obviously, I don't think Morgan Wade actually leaked this story to People Magazine, and I don't think that Rob actually believes that either. But I am saying that it's interesting once you start adding things on top of each other. Then, and I want to also add, a lot of this came from By Wig, Hello Drama on Instagram at Face Reality 16. And the Bravo Babe had posted this also on Twitter, which I'm going to show you this next slide. Because that moment in the reunion that's coming up, when we saw Sutton had basically a medical emergency, which was obviously scary. And, you know, it looks as though she's completely shocked to see someone. And the way it was edited was to look as though it was Kathy Hilton walking in, that she went, whoa, and had this complete and total physical reaction. But let's break that down. Sutton is friends with Kathy. In fact, on Watch What Happens Live, when Kyle was on there with Kiki, Kyle was asked, you know how Andy plays his games. Kyle was asked a round of questions regarding who she trusted the most, who she trusted the least. And there was also, it was between Dorit and Sutton on these questions. And she was also asked who Kathy and Kim preferred out of her friends, at least between Dorit and Sutton. And she said probably Sutton. So Sutton, we know, is friends with Kathy. On top of that, remember Kyle at the beginning of the season was saying that Sutton was running around going to Kathy Hilton's parties. Sutton wouldn't be that shocked to see Kathy Hilton. And I also know that it was a surprise for Kathy Hilton to show up. So bear that in mind. I'm aware, but regardless, it wouldn't shock Sutton to that extent. Now, there is a still that was taken, and I did on TikTok slow it down. I put this in slow motion, honey. You know me. It's not psycho, it's investigative. I'm investigative. And there is a moment that we see where a person is walking in front of Sutton, who she is very specifically looking at. Now, when this shock comes across her face, now the shock across her face 100% also could be that she's going, oh my God, I'm not feeling okay. And she just happened to look up at that time. Let me also add that. But Kathy Hilton's very clearly wearing this kind of champagne beige colored, crystalled dress thing. And the Bravo Babe had said, okay, hear me out. Let me add this slide here. She said, hear me out. Face Reality 16 pointed out, it looks like Sutton is shocked to see the person in plaid, not Kathy. Could it be Morgan? Because if you are, again, watching here on YouTube, you can see the person walking in front of Sutton that she is seems to be looking directly at. They are in this like yellow, purple plaid shirt. That is not what Kathy was wearing. So I'm just going to leave this up here for a second. Now, do I think Morgan, let's play that game, if she showed up to the reunion, do I believe that Morgan would be wearing a plaid flannel while these women are in cocktail dresses and Doritos and God, I don't even know what that is. A thing. No, I don't think Morgan would wear that. But also, this is where it gets a little nutty. Okay, maybe it gets a little psycho. I'm like, is that maybe a sequin to that plaid? Don't know. Because when Morgan accompanied Kyle to Watch What Happens Live this last week, because they were live, it was not pre-recorded, Morgan wore kind of like her version of a suit. That was her dressing up. And that was for Watch What Happens Live, which for all intents and purposes is typically slightly more casual than a reunion. I mean, it depends on which show we're talking about. Very much, it's not Atlanta, they wear their ball gowns. Beverly Hills, they typically go for, the elevated cocktail look. And that's really, it just depends on the franchise. So let me just throw that in there. But someone also pointed out that it could have been Denise walking by. Let's just play the game that it is someone on the show who has shown their face at the very least. It could have been Denise. Denise, I could see wearing, say, a sequin plaid shirt. So it could be anyone. My biggest thing was, oh my God, it's probably a crew member. I don't understand what everyone's freaking out about. But in our 6-minute preview of the part 1 of the reunion, I literally took screenshots of every single crew member I could see. I found 3 total just in that. And this also includes hair and makeup artists, assistants that were on camera, all of it. There were only 3 people that were not in all black because on a soundstage, they wear black just to be safe in case they like get in, behind the camera and come around or something. They want them to blend in with the background as much as possible where it's darker. And there were 2 guys in blue and another person in a blue flannel. That's it. Is it a smoking gun? No, absolutely not. But is it interesting? Yeah. Let's theorize about it. Okay. So, aside from that, Portia, we know, filed for divorce from Simon, her husband, Guobodia. And on top of that, Simon and his company are being sued by a private jet company that he essentially had equity in, that he paid an interest rate to pretty much be able to use the planes. And he agreed to a higher interest rate and then didn't pay, I guess. So it's looking like this company is seeking damages in close to $1 million. It's like 899,000 something or another. Remember, numbers, not my forte. And he went on a payment plan and then just stopped paying. And they want him to also pay their legal fees. So it's not looking like a great month for Simon. But hey, it's a great month for Bravo fans because we're getting Portia back. And we know we have Kenya, all of it. Why don't we now go ahead and jump in to Summer House? I would love to know what y'all are thinking of it. Obviously, it's hard to tell from just the one episode, but I think it's looking good. I also want to add that I saw the trailer for The Valley. Y'all, I think it looks good too. Am I an easy sell though? It's quite possible. I have been known to be an easy sell, but I do think it looks good. And I'm saying it might fill Southern hospitality, and The Valley might fill that little hole in our hearts that Scandival left. So now that we have had Scandival, apparently just about every damn show on Bravo is going to have to start their very first episode with a dramatic scene, and then 2 months earlier, which is how Summer House starts. It's in the preview of that where Carl is saying Lindsay is very gifted while they're breaking up, essentially, after he allegedly called production and said, "Oh, yeah, you better get your cameras here because I'm about to break up with Lindsay." He tells Lindsay she's very gifted at playing victim. And he's like, you know what? He's telling production, she's gonna tell everyone she's blindsided. And then she's immediately in the other room. Dad, I am very blindsided. Well, okay. Maybe she actually was, though. Okay, because maybe she knew, yes, she's not like in outer space. She knows you guys were having problems, but maybe she thought y'all would try and work this out. And he also was saying, you need to have the power position in any relationship. You have to be in control. Have you met Lindsay? Yes. 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 She's like, I'm a boss bitch, and that's what I do. Yes. You knew. This is what's insane to me, Carl. You knew exactly who she is and was when you proposed to her. I think it's wild. And I know Lindsay, let me be honest, I know Lindsay can be a monster. This is not just, I'm always team female. I can't help it. But I'm just saying, bro, come on. So it turns out we find out when the girls as in Sierra, Danielle, Paige, and Gabby are driving to the Hamptons. Danielle had been in Montauk the weekend before, and her ex Robert already has this new girlfriend. And turns out as well, there might be some overlap because he worked with her. And Paige is like, he didn't seem like the cheating type. And Danielle says she's been gaslit by him. I think part of the issue here is, and I like Danielle, she was a little tough last year. I think she just was going through it between her breakup and all of that, because they broke up in summer 2022, and they were together quite a while. I know she was really trying to make that relationship work. I mean, a breakup is hard as hell. whether it's a 6-year relationship or 6 month, and they were together much longer than 6 months. I mm, I think Winter House really did not do Danielle any favors, but I also am aware that there was an editing thing that really amped that up, and especially that last night where she was fighting with, was it with Jordy? I believe, and it made it look like Danielle just went like feral. But I have heard that a lot of people were fighting that night, and it wasn't just Danielle going after Jordan. So just saying that's to be considered. So I'm really hoping for Danielle. She's going to have a different looking season because I don't want to see Danielle in this position where people are like trolling her, being like, "Oh my God, you're so clingy, you're so embarrassing, blah 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 blah." You know. So we end up meeting the new guy, West. I mean, he looks like Kyle's long lost cousin with the blonde mustache. I mean, instead of a mullet, he has a mustache. The mullet and the mustache bros. And he brings this white sequin like cowboy hat. I believe there was sequin on it. He said something about it. He found it on Amazon. And I so far, just like the rest of the girls, I think he's great. I think he's a great new addition. He and Jesse seem like they are going to really spice things up in a good way, even if it pisses Paige off eventually. Uh, so Amanda and Kyle ask West if he talked to Lindsay about the house dynamics because West actually met Kyle and Amanda through Lindsay, and he's known her for about 2 years, it seems. Well, he tells them that Lindsay told him that, well, she's not a house favorite. And we get some cuts over to where Lindsay and Carl are going to be, and just a lot of babe, 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 babe. I mean, lots of babes. Babe, 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 babe. What else is new? But they're going to DC for the 4th of July. So they're not going to be there that first weekend of the Hamptons for Summer House. So I guess Carl's not really been helping Lindsay with the wedding planning. And we just get these like cuts of her being like, okay, so is the makeup artist who did the trial, are they a master or a pro? Oh, they're a pro. Okay. It's like, y'all, if you haven't planned a wedding, dear Jesus in heaven, oh my God, it's a lot. So I will give her that. Also, how weird is this? I did not notice that Maya is not even on this season. That's not a dig at Maya, but I just realized as I was taking my notes, I was like, oh my God, we're missing someone. It's Maya. No Maya, no cookies, no Maya. Sorry. So it looks like this is this season for Amanda. That is, I hate Kyle. I have no patience for Kyle. She's done. At least she thought that was going to be her season until Carl and Lindsay take over at the end. Isn't that interesting? We also learned that Craig apparently had to Google what a rigatoni was when they were in Italy, when he and Paige were in Italy. And I just kind of love how Paige describes her relationship with Craig as, I've been taking care of him for 2 years. So apparently West Conrad Wilson, that's quite a name. You got to admit that. His mother is an OBGYN. His dad is a cattle rancher. And how about this? He knows that he caused a 3rd-degree vaginal tear when his mother gave birth to him. And you know what? I am here for this kind of young man. Upstanding young man. Sierra is like in love with him already. Sierra is like all about a blonde white boy. We know that. She's like, blonde white boy, Luke, Austin, West, done. Have we seen her go after anything else? No. Paige ends up telling Amanda, or she tells us in confessional, that her plan for the summer is the same as when she was 25. She'll be nice to Lindsay until Lindsay does something and Paige loses her ever-loving goddamn motherfucking mind. Sorry for cussing. Danielle points out in confessional how rough last summer was for her between breaking up with Robert and her fallout with Lindsay, which that is a rough summer. Okay. You know, I've been through that before where you had a sister best friend and things just fell through the damn roof. And then you're going through a breakup at the same time. You feel like a crazy person, and you at times even act like one, whether you mean to or not. So the girls are sitting there talking about West and how he gets more attractive the more he talks. And Sierra loves that West is like so interested in her life and asks questions because she'll go on dates with the guys in the city and all they do is like show up to talk about themselves. And I mean, you would think a man would show interest because like that doesn't math up. Okay. Simple math. I'm going to say something not so nice. Is Sierra that interesting to ask that many questions about? I'm so sorry. I'm very interested that you were a nurse and you're a beautiful, beautiful model, but what else is there? You grew up in Georgia. Okay, got it. They all go to the carnival. Why did this make me want to go to a carnival? Maybe it's like the gambling aspect of playing those games and the food. Oh my gosh, a good y'all, funnel cake, and a good fried everything. At this point, you're gonna get a fried sock, but I'm sure it tastes good in batter and grease. Pour some powdered sugar on that thing, and I'll eat a sock any day. Kyle wins this giant banana. And when I say giant, I mean that thing is larger than the largest toddler I've ever seen. And let's call toddlers 4-year-olds as well. And Amanda's like, is that for me? And Kyle goes, I mean, technically it's for you, but I'm like really excited about it. So Kyle decides this is the moment to have a conversation with Amanda about spending time together this summer while his giant banana with dreads is like sticking out between his legs. It's it's summer house. What can I say? And Amanda tells him the reason that they don't spend time together is his fault because he's always at the office and they used to have these arguments all the time and that she's just accepted it. Now I'm happy to not hang out with you at parties. Kyle says he misses her when he goes on his work trips and questions if she even misses him because it's like, I'm not expecting you to like run into my arms or anything, but I mean, so they all finally get home, and all 7 of them are on Paige and Sierra's bed. I'm sorry, it's just Paige's bed. I forgot that they are in separate rooms this year. And Paige and Sierra have won the goddamn lottery. Paige is more excited than if Craig had gone ahead and pulled out like a 7-carat diamond because I'm sure she would have been like, ew. Why is that rose gold? I love Paige's love for beds. She has a love for beds. They all really seem to be getting along in the house. And I know a lot of people too have been like, oh, Carl and Lindsay aren't even in the house and they cannot keep their names out of their mouth. Well, because I think there's this anxiety of when they actually arrive that it's like, oh my God, yeah, it's so great right now. I'm having so much fun. Oh, Lindsay will be here next weekend. Oh, Jesus. It's like that anxiety. Oh my God. And Lindsay, oh, is Lindsay going to be in the kitchen? Oh God. Oh, she's not here. Thank God. I'm having so much fun, Lindsay. So it's one of those type of things. But, you know, I hope at the end of it, they really rally for them, which I think they do. We'll see. Kyle puts the banana that he named Mon, like, hey, Mon, type of thing, in the bed with himself and Amanda after literally telling her he does not get enough time with her. You couldn't have made a wall of pillows to be that large that banana was. And then he's so pissy with Amanda's attitude in the morning because she calls him out on it. I think she's like, no, Kyle, you're not going to do that to me this season. I am most shocked this next morning that Paige made her bed. I was like, oh my God, Paige made her bed so she can't get back in it. Paige cannot get back in her bed. And then she immediately goes and gets in Sierra's bed. They talk about how great it's been in the house already. There's no passive aggressiveness. And Paige hasn't been worried about who's in the kitchen, if she needs to not go in there because Lindsay's there and all of that, which that is a stressful feeling. Not going to lie. Amanda is griping in the kitchen about how Kyle had that conversation about spending time together with her last night and hung out with Mon. all night. And we see that Kyle literally took Mon on the Ferris wheel. Just him and Mon. He'd rather Amanda, I just have to ask how you feel about the fact that your husband would rather spend time with cotton and stuffing. Because I'll tell you what, my petty ass probably would have been like, so you and Mon gonna go have a baby now, Kyle? Hmm? Is Mon the new parent of our pups? Huh? Is Mon going on you with all of your work trips? Huh? Because I'm like that. Pain in the ass. So then she also was like saying to Kyle when he's basically saying that's not fair. She's like, okay, let's see how many people you talk to today other than me. At the table when they're having breakfast, Danielle pulls like a good wing woman move. You know, she knew what was up because she goes, Sierra, I dare you to make out with someone at the party today. The way the cameras were like rack focus at Sierra and West's faces. I mean, she just is like, ooh, yes. So Paige goes and FaceTimes Craig in her room. She's like, hi, chicken. That's an interesting nickname for Craig. Chicken. It's not the first one I would have come up with. But Craig is craiging so hard, that Aquarius soul of his. He tells her to get so excited because he's buying a racehorse. And she's like, no, Craig, you absolute idiot. No. You will lose all your money and I will not marry a broke man. Apparently, Craig, now if you have an Aquarius man in your life, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He watched Wrexham one time and decided he was Ryan Reynolds and had to go buy a soccer team in London. He didn't, but still. I love how Paige is so open and honest about the fact that she will absolutely not marry a broke man. And girl, I'm here for it. Lindsay and Carl FaceTime Gabby because they're still friends with her. And Gabby's telling him how much fun they're having and how wonderful it is and how they were like, wow, it feels like someone's missing from the seven of us. But I was like, no, everyone's here. As she is on the phone with them. And Lindsay's like, we're not there. Oh my God. If I were Gabby, that's some stupid shit I would do. I would do that so hard. And I felt for Gabby in that moment because she was like, God damn it. She literally forgot while she was on the phone with those two that they weren't there. I'm sorry. I don't know why that was so funny to me. Ooh. Oh, God bless. It turns out that Lindsay and Danielle had a conversation last spring that they didn't need to be best friends or sisters, and they set a bunch of boundaries and essentially started over, which, ouch. Yeah. Did y'all notice this? Maybe it's my eyes from being the toddler mom I am. Sierra is literally eating one of those toddler applesauce pouches, which, by the way, you think I'm making fun of her. They're actually pretty damn bomb, especially the apple cinnamon. Okay. When you don't even have to be desperate. But I was like, why are y'all buying baby? Okay. So Kyle asks West if he's into Sierra, and he's like, yeah. And we don't have to ask if Sierra is into him because we know. But when she's sitting in the other room talking to the girl, she's like, I'm going to try and stay away from tall guys, but as soon as a 5'8" guy comes near me, I'm like, oh, get away. Y'all, listen, I know a tall man can be fun. Okay. Would you give the short kings a chance? Especially you short girls. Because what the hell? So West tells Kyle that he's aware he's the only guy here and says he's in a good place unless the new guy shows up and F's things up. Well, Jesse shows up and is absolutely going to F things up. Don't you worry, because he is Carl 2.0. Fully. Except, oh my God, is Jesse better looking than Carl? Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying. And the man can kind of sing. So he walks in and West is clearly nervous because he's like, this huge tall guy walks in. He's got a smile that touches ear to ear. And he's like, you can only go, oh shit. So you notice he does that guy thing where he kind of puffs his chest out and pulls his shoulders back and down. And he's like, gotta be taller. Come on, grow a few more inches. So Sierra is very clearly like, oh my God. Hi, Jesse. So how tall are you actually? I'm gonna say 6'3". Oh, 6'5". Okay, y'all, that's almost too tall unless you are like over 5'9". Okay, I don't know how tall Sierra is. And it's clear that Jesse is single and ready to mingle. In confessional, he's like, I love going to the Hamptons. Everybody shows up to have a good time, and I love having a good time. Got it. You are bringing lots of wisdom drops here. Um, so Amanda starts grilling Jesse. She's like, where are you from? What's the worst thing to happen to you? What's your credit score? What's your bowel movement schedule? Like, what's your trauma? What's your sign? What time were you born? What degree of vaginal tear did your mother give you? Or did you give your mother? I mean, maybe your mother gave you one too. Turns out he studied vocal jazz performance in college, and he discovered at his bar mitzvah that he could sing, and says in confessional, it was one of my dad's friends who said I have a voice of an angel. And the producer asks him to sing. And I'm thinking, I don't know. He's going to be like, Ave Maria. He's going to, I don't know, anything. And this is what this man opens his mouth and sings. Na, 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 na. Open pit barbecue sauce. Open pit barbecue sauce. You know, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I'm impressed or annoyed or flabbergasted. I don't know how I feel. And that's a weird feeling. Could you have picked anything else to sing? Open pit barbecue sauce? Is that a jingle you did for a commercial? Are you trying to get us to like recognize your voice or something? Like, was it a radio jingle? One of those things? Local radio station? I don't know. Something. Okay. So Kyle then pulls Paige aside to talk about his stuff with Amanda and says that she shuts him down and they're not functioning as a team, and that he's just scared shitless of them talking about getting a home, and that he's worried about it all financially, but she's annoyed that he works too much. Paige gives top tier confessionals. I'm sorry. I know some people tend to be divided on like the Paige and Hannah of it all. Sue me. I freaking love the Giggly Squad. I think they're hysterical. And I think Paige is so goddamn funny. I can't get enough of her. She's hysterical. I'm sorry. She is. Sue me. So she says in confessional that she's got kind of a close relationship with Kyle in the last 2 years. And she's like, by close, I mean, he'll call me and vent to me about something. And dare I say, sentence back. And he's like, please let me finish. She concludes this. I'm sorry. She concludes that his issues with Amanda are just part of Amanda's personality. I didn't realize that when they got married. I'm so sorry. I'm so upset. So all this shit that you hate about your wife is just her personality, actually. I would have been like, listen here, bitch. I don't know if I would just be so offended or oh, I'm tearing up. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it just was. So okay, I'll get it together. I swear to God. The girls are sitting there discussing West and Jesse, and decide that West has like a swagger and that Jesse probably humps like a Labrador retriever, while West knows where the clock of the top of the female clock is. And that Jesse asks if you finished, but West knows. Yeah, because West's mother is an OBGYN. I would hope she had educated him. I know that's awkward, but my God, you had to have picked up something. And eventually Paige is relaying her conversation with Kyle to Amanda. And and Amanda's saying, like, Kyle is full of shit, considering he took the stuffy on rides instead of her the night before. And she says she's so patient about him taking his work frustration out on her. And then she brings up, see, this is where you know things are going to take a real sour left turn. Because she's like, I took him back. He cheated on me and I took him back. Ooh. No, baby, you're married at this point. You said for better or worse. it was time to let go of that one. I mean, hey. So that's the conclusion of this episode. I, as of now, believe Giorgio will be joining me on Thursday. And I think we're going to just lightly touch on Vanderpump Rules on Thursday. And then we are going to probably do some more Beverly Hills because I am very interested to see if they bring us anything in part one of the reunion. It's usually part two that we tend to get not much, unless it was the Vanderpump Rules reunion last year. But that being said, I think we better get some very good information from this Beverly Hills reunion, or I'm going to lose my mind. So I just want to say hi to a few people who showed up because I love seeing all of you Bravo besties here. Hi, Just Kelly, Tay Tay the Savior, Jill George. I have Danielle. Hi, Danielle. Evangelina. Y'all, thank you for joining. I'm always so happy to have you here. That's what this is about. It's about us besties catching up and talking shit like we love to do with these Bravo shows. I have one more request. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and leave me a 5-star review. Tell your friends all about this little podcast because it's a community is really what it's coming down to. I also have some merch on the website and on Etsy that actually is kind of cute and I've been wearing it and I'm really proud of it, which I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm going to be like Lala and buy a house in Palm Springs with it. I just wanted to see merch that was my style that I couldn't find. And there's a lot of great stuff out there, but I just wanted something that was a little bit me and my type of aesthetic. Do I have an aesthetic? Oh my God. Caitlin, stop. Stop. So, anywho, if you want to see the videos I did on the slowing down of the flannel walking by at the Beverly Hills reunion, go check out my TikTok. And yeah, I'm just so glad you all joined. And I will see you on Thursday. Okay. Bye, besties.